Eating on a college campus can be a hassle, as any student can attest to. From finding time to eat between classes, to budgeting, to staying healthy, it's no wonder that most students don't know how to cook. Luckily, we are here to show you that it can be done with a reasonable budget and without sacrificing quality and nutrition in the process. Today, we're going to be talking to some Hofstra students about their on-campus lifestyle, show you 2 amazing recipes that can be done right here in your dorm kitchen, and answer culinary questions. I'm your host, Haley Marks, and this is Campus Cooking. Before we begin cooking, let's take a look at the Student Center, one of the main dining facilities here on Hofstra's campus. We're going to talk to some students about their experience dining here. Let's check it out. A little bit about your experience dining here on campus. What do you think of it?
Dining is usually pretty good. They always have something for me, whether I'm craving like unhealthy food like pizza or like a salad.
It's good food, it's pretty high quality.
Have you utilized the cooking facilities and the kitchens in the dorms?
I have. I do cook with my roommates and things like that on weekends. I also bake. That's a big stress reliever for me.
My experience cooking here has been a pretty good one, yeah.
What do you make? What kind of things do you make usually?
Probably like, a pasta dish.
We love chicken parm.
Some meat sambusaks, a lot of Syrian food.
Something wrapped in bacon, because everybody buys stuff that's wrapped in bacon.
Not everyone makes their own meals on campus, but let's take a look at what 2 students who do have to say.
Freshman year, we started off with our average meal plan, and we weren't really fond of the food. And once we started to get to know each other more, and we both knew that we had interest in cooking, we decided, hey, why not second semester we bring some pots and pans and try going to the grocery store and seeing what we can do. And then from there, it just became more fun than a chore, and we just have been doing it ever since.
Cooking by yourself, first of all, you kind of develop a little bit of a patience, and cooking with somebody else as well, you do develop patience, because oftentimes you have different taste buds, you have different interests, and have different methods or ways to organize things. And coming together, bringing those 2 different mentalities together to make one thing, well, that's a good thing, and it brings people closer together. It's something that's so enjoyable, and the end result is just so satisfying that you just can't help but really enjoy it, especially if you have somebody that you can connect with and they know you. And we're at a point now where we kind of just know, like, okay, we put this much salt, okay, hand me this, okay, you handle that, I handle this, and it just flows so beautifully, and the food kind of just bangs out.
Now that we've seen what other students are making here on campus, let's make something of our own. Today, we're going to be making a tomato and basil salmon. So let's get started. For this recipe, you will need just a pinch of Mediterranean spices, freshly cut basil, you can even use dried basil or a basil blend, and grape or cherry tomatoes, and of course, your fillet of salmon. So the first thing we're going to do is take our grape or cherry tomatoes, and we're just going to cut it in half. We're gonna slice it vertically just like this. You wanna just put a little bit of pressure there, see how nice and juicy that tomato is. The reason we use grape or cherry tomatoes instead of regular larger garden tomatoes is because of mostly their decorative flair. You're gonna see when we place them on top of our basil, it's going to complement that really nicely. You wanna be careful with the knife that you're using. I'm using a smaller knife for these tomatoes, but a larger knife works just as well. I'm just gonna cut about 4 of them. Just wanna be very gentle, but put a little bit of pressure. So just like that, I'm just gonna set these aside for now while I get to seasoning my salmon. So for this, you're gonna wanna take your Mediterranean spices here. We have a really nice blend. There's oregano in here, there's garlic, there's just a little bit of sea salt, and there's about a hint of red pepper and lemon peel. So if you can't find this exact blend, you can find all of those ingredients at your local supermarket. You're just gonna wanna sprinkle them all over your salmon, just like I'm doing. Now, just as a reminder, we bought all of our ingredients at the local Stop and Shop near campus, which is accessible by shuttle. It's okay if it gets a little messy. And I like mine to get nice and flavorful here. I really like a lot of spices on my salmon, but you can be as liberal as you want. So after you're done spreading the spices all over your salmon, you're just gonna wanna knead it all over to get the juices to really absorb the flavors. It'll be really nice when we bake it later. So now that our fish is fully seasoned, we're just going to transfer it over to our casserole dish, just like this. We used a bit of a deeper dish for this recipe, but you can use a cooking tray or a baking sheet, anything that is oven safe. So now we're just going to take our basil leaves and we're just gonna place them on top of our salmon, just like this. You wanna make sure that you always wash your basil or any vegetable that you use before putting it into your final recipe. I'm just gonna put about 3 on here, just like that. Now we're gonna take our tomato and we're gonna place 1/2 on each leaf. This adds a nice little decorative flair as a little final touch. Isn't that pretty? I like that a lot. Presentation's everything. So now we're ready to put our salmon in the oven. I've already preset the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're gonna bake for about 20 minutes. So while we wait for the salmon to finish cooking, here are some helpful kitchen hacks. Check them out. Making food is fun, but let's not forget that it can also be dangerous if you don't pay attention. Don't ever leave the stove or oven unattended. Check the setting on the oven and turn on the overhead fan if your kitchen has one. If you're using a microwave, remember to remove all the packaging on your food before you put it in. You'd be surprised how often people forget. Hi everyone, welcome back. So for the second recipe, we're going to be making sweet potato fritters. For this recipe, you will need 1 sweet potato. We've already grated it and salted it beforehand. 1/4 cup of goat cheese, 2 tablespoons of flour, 2 tablespoons of butter, and 1 egg. You're also going to need some tomatoes and arugula for a side salad we're going to be making later. So the first thing we're going to do is just put all of our ingredients into the bowl with our sweet potato. You can use a spoon to get the goat cheese and butter out because that might be pretty hard to mix with. Just like that. Oh, enough for my favorite part. I love cracking eggs. I love cracking eggs in like every recipe I've ever used. Just love the sound it makes, it's a lot of fun. Let's put that away. So when all of our ingredients are in the bowl like this, you can either mix it with the spoon or with your hands. I'm gonna start off mixing it with the spoon just to get a little bit of motion going, and then I'm probably gonna get my hands dirty. Make sure, as always, that you wash your hands before touching any of these ingredients. But it is perfectly fine to use your hands when mixing in a recipe like this. Perfectly fine. I love sweet potato fritters. They're a little bit like potato latkes, with like a little bit of a sweetness added to them. They're really nice if you wanna make them for a lunch or even like as a breakfast side. They could work for that, or even as a dinner, it doesn't matter. It's a really nice, well-rounded recipe, and it's very, very healthy. I feel like I should maybe make these at Hanukkah time for my family. There you go, now it's getting really, really mushy. I'm just gonna take about a palmful here, and I'm just gonna start rolling them into some nice little balls. You can even mash them up just a little bit. So we're just gonna make a bunch of balls until all of the mixture is complete. Okay, so now that our fritters are rolled into balls, we're gonna take them over to the stove ready to be fried. I've already coated my frying pan with enough oil just to cover the bottom of the pan. So after frying each of our fritters for about a minute, we've transferred it over to a casserole dish. You can even use a baking pan or a tray. And you want it to be this nice golden brown color. So now we're just gonna put it in the oven. I've preset the oven to 325 degrees, and we're gonna bake this for about 15 minutes. That's all we have for you today. Make sure you follow us on Facebook for updates and more creative recipes. Until next time, I'm Haley Marks, and this is Campus Cooking.